Good afternoon, Kentucky. This is Chef T at the Food Connection Kitchen, and I'm very excited about our first snack attack of this semester. We come to you during midterms, and I know that's a stressful time of the year for you. So I thought we would go over a few really healthy snacks and snacks that aren't good for you, but that are good for your brain, for your memory, that have neuroprotective effects, but that are still tasty and make great snacks for studying too. So we're going to jump right in because I've got three things to show you today. And we're going to start with some healthy baked broccoli tots. Now, broccoli is a powerhouse. It contains tons of vitamin K, like more than 100% of your daily supply of vitamin K, and that is essential in it creates lipids that are necessary for your brain cells. It can help improve memory, which is great on a week when you're trying to cram so much into your brain. So we really want to focus on the broccoli. We have a little bit of onion in here for flavor, and I just roasted the broccoli off. You can blanch it, you can steam it, but I like to put flavor into my veggies, not take them out. So we roasted this broccoli and then just chopped it up in the food processor with a tiny piece of onion, about a quarter of a cup. Now you can mince that up with your knife if you don't have a food processor. Either way. I'm also going to add some panko breadcrumbs and regular Italian seasoned breadcrumbs. Now I like the panko because they add a lot of crunch. It's a Japanese style breadcrumb. It's a little bit crunchier than your tiny little Italian seasoned breadcrumbs. I have just 1/3 of a cup of cheddar cheese because we love having cheddar cheese in our tots, especially it goes along well with broccoli. And I have some parsley here. Now I've used dried because I figure that might be more likely what you have around. You could use any kind of dried herb. Thyme would be great, chives, a little bit of sage or rosemary, something that's powdery, not too needle-ish like dried rosemary can be. And then a little bit of salt and pepper here. I like quite pepper with broccoli, although there is some of it on the broccoli itself when we roasted it. And into that, I'm going to put an egg. Eggs are wonderful also for study foods because they contain a lot of choline. And choline helps create neurotransmitters in your whole neurological system. And that helps the signals get where they're supposed to go. So we want to make sure we have enough choline. So you want to add some eggs. You may want to boil or fry an egg and add it to the top of salads or other soups, mixtures, starches. Putting an egg on top of anything is pretty much good on any day. I'm going to turn this camera just a bit and bring you up nice and close. I've dumped all this in a bowl. All I'm going to do is just mix this in now. It's a bit of a dry mixture. Don't worry about that. We don't want it too wet or it won't stick together. But that egg is going to work as our binder and help hold all these disparate elements together. Now, I have a little scoop here. You could also use 2 spoons, 2 measuring spoons, but we're going to use this one. It's about a little bit over an ounce, so that's 2 tablespoons, maybe slightly more. I'm going to pack that in there. Hope you can see. Scoop it out, and then I can just roll it into our traditional barrel or tater tot shape. There we go, right there. Now you're not going to be able to like roll this. This isn't sticking together that well. I'm going to throw these on this baking sheet. I just got a piece of parchment on there. If you have a Silpat, you could use that as well. If you don't have either, then you may want to put just a little piece of foil down on the bottom of your pan just because the cheese may want to stick pretty bad. So I'm going to do about 5 of these here. And you just form them in your hands. I've got raw egg on. That's why I did the gloves, and that way I don't have to spend so much time on camera washing my hands. But treat raw egg as you would raw meat and wash your hands after. So just flatten the side as you roll that around. You could make them larger or smaller, and if you have trouble getting them into the tot shape, then you could just scoop them out, or you could form them into little patties. almost like a fritter. And then we're going to throw these. Our oven is heated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And we're just going to crisp these on the outside, make sure the egg gets done on the inside. So roll that around, and I'll do one more. We'll have some symmetry here on our pan. And finish that up. I'll get rid of these gloves, and we'll pop that in. It takes these about 20 to 30 minutes, depending on your oven. Mine is really nice and hot, so it will probably check those in 20. And I'm going to set this aside so we can clear the way for our next dish, which is roasted chickpeas with some turmeric, ginger, and a few other spices on it. Now, chickpeas are a great source of protein. They are a high protein starch. So this would be better for you. It's a crunchy snack. It's a wonderful snack you can have all by itself or add to other snacks in place of maybe some chips, tortilla chips or something like that, which are high in fats, a lot of time high in saturated fats, and sometimes may still be on the shelves that have trans fats in them. That's not good for you. That's going to weigh you down, and all those fats will have an effect on you when you feel kind of sluggish. Your brain tends to work sluggish, but we're going to make these chickpeas. Protein is great for, and there's a lot of fiber in these too. So although it's starchy, like those kinds of snacks, you're going to absorb those starches a little bit slower because of the protein, because of the fiber. So you're not going to get any rush of carbs into your system, and then that subsequent drop. The protein will prevent that too. We are going to add some turmeric to these chickpeas in the spice mixture that we're going to use. Now, you could use any spice mixture you want if you wanted to go Southwest or curry, or we're going to do almost like a little Middle Eastern type seasoning. Anything that you want, any 5-spice, anything that you like to use on snacks or have added to any of your dishes would be great on these chickpeas. I'm going to start by just opening up a can. So you cook your own chickpeas and start with those. It's a little bit more difficult because a lot of the outer shells, I don't know if you know, chickpeas have 2 kinds of shells. The outer shells a lot of times come off in the canning process. Now you'll see a few of them in here, but not very many. When you start from dry chickpeas, you have a lot more of those, so you'll end up picking a lot more of those out. And I'm going to just pour these into a strainer and make sure that they're drained really well. And I will pick out those little outer skins, you might say. And there's just a few. But make sure you drain them as well as possible. You may want to set these over a sink and let them just keep draining while you work on your spice mixture. After this, I'm going to pour them between 2 clean dishcloths. You could do this between paper towels if you're worried about your dishcloths, and just sort of rub them and get them even drier. As dry as possible. You don't get any crisping when there's water in your food. You get steaming when there's water in the food. That's why we saute a lot of the times, because we're getting rid of water so we can concentrate those sugars in the veggies. This is kind of the same thing. If you have too much water in these chickpeas, they'll just sit in the oven and steam. They won't get crisp. And there's no point in putting oil on them. So I'm going to rub these back and forth just a bit. You might see a few more skins come off. You can just toss those away. All right, we're going to put these into another sheet pan. You can do this in a bowl as well. But I've got this smaller sheet pan here, and we have that oven set on 425. You need this kind of high heat to crisp these up. Pour these into your sheet pan. Make sure it's a single layer, because again, they'll steam all over again. Make sure they're spread out and there's plenty of room for the heat to circulate around them. We're going to drizzle with a little bit of olive oil. Olive oil is great for your brain because it contains a lot of omega-3s. And omega-3s are in all kinds of things that I'm going to go over today. The brain uses them to build brain and nerve cells. So you need those kind of fats. And the omega-3s are great for that. We're going to sprinkle this with some salt and some pepper. But we're not going to add any spices yet until they come out. I'm going to roast those at 425 for about another 20-25 minutes. Again, depends on your oven. So that's our second snack. So there's a crunchy snack, and we're going to have a broccoli snack that is sort of crispy soft. You have that nice in between. Now we're going to have a sweet snack. And you really do want to avoid a lot of processed sugar, a lot of desserts. I know that's the thing we reach for when we're stressed out, when we want comfort. We go for the cookies, the ice cream, stuff like that. If you want to really look into how much sugar you're consuming, and you really do when you're trying to study, if you eat a lot of sugar, you are going to have that sugar high. Your glucose is going to shoot up, your body's going to flood with insulin, and then that sugar is just going to crash and leave you with kind of what is now an overdose of insulin. And you don't want to continue to do that to your body. It will build up insulin resistance, and that is the pathway down to some severe health problems. So you want to really watch about how you introduce sugar to your system. So we have a parfait today. We're going to use a homemade granola, and I'm not going to show you all the steps on that because this is a lengthy process. But we have in here, it's pretty simple, just a few ingredients, some old-fashioned oats, 3 kinds of nuts, because nuts contain all of the omega-3s, also a whole host of vitamins and minerals that are great for your brain. They're essential for memory. We have almonds, pepitas or pumpkin seeds, and some pecans. So nuts by themselves would be a great snack as well. And then we added to that just a little bit of salt, some honey, a little olive oil. Again, olive oil for the omega-3s if we're going to have to add fats. So then we want to add those neuroprotective fats. And then we toasted this, and it takes close to an hour. You're going to spread all of that out onto a sheet pan. Again, you want to try to coat it with a parchment so that you don't have a mess in your pan. You do have to babysit this a little bit. This is why I'm not showing this. You have to pull it out of the oven and stir it like every 10 minutes or so that it doesn't burn, but then it's evaporating all the liquid from that, and those sugars are concentrating. And you could also use maple syrup. You could also use agave syrup. What do you like to use on that? And then after it's cooled, we kind of break it up and add dark chocolate to it. Dark chocolate is full of flavonoids. If you're going to have a sweet treat, get the highest percentage cocoa dark chocolate you can. And those actually have some benefits to your neurological system as well. And then some dried cherries, again, for that. Those bright flavored berries are filled with antioxidants, and that prevents the free radicals from breaking down your cells, period, but especially those brain cells. So we're going to put a layer of this homemade granola down here. And then I'm going to add some yogurt to that. Now, I'm using Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt is strained, and so it tends to have a higher protein content than your other non-strained yogurts. And that will, again, help have a protein background when you are consuming sugar. So we've sweetened that with just a tiny, tiny bit of sorghum. When you have all this other sweet stuff in here, leave your sorghum plain. I know, or your yogurt plain. I know it can be really tart if you do that. So I like to put just enough sweetener just to take that off. And then I put vanilla in here. It's still a lot less sugar than what you would get if you got a vanilla yogurt just straight from the grocery. And then you could add some fresh fruit to this. Blueberries would be great. Again, any of these dark pigment-rich fruits are going to be high in antioxidants to prevent those free radicals from breaking down your brain cells. These are actually Kentucky grown. They are from Kentucky Blueberry Growers Cooperative. Frozen, that's why I've made them into this little sauce. So we're going to just add some blueberries here. And this is a perfect snack, either as a snack, or we want to reach for those cookies or for the ice cream, or at the end of a meal when you're feeling like something sweet before you go into studying. So we're going to show you that there, and then I'll pull out the finished broccoli tots. Like So little fat in those, lots of power-packed broccoli, a little bit of cheese for that comforting factor, a little bit of breadcrumbs, and then that egg for all that choline. With all those neuroprotective effects. Choline is great for eye health too. So as you're studying, looking at screens, looking at books, you will need some of that for your eyes as well. And then here are the chickpeas. So these are nice, and you can hear the crispiness there. You really want to wash them toward the end, because once the water has evaporated and it's cooking in the oil, they will go quickly. So you have to wash them at the end. You want them crispy. You don't want them so hard you can't chew on them. You can use these as a snack, like I said, a crunchy snack. But you can also add these to salads. Throw them on top of a soup if you're looking for a crispy garnish rather than croutons. You can serve these into anything. Turmeric as well, you could throw into an egg scramble. We make a lot of vinaigrettes with turmeric around here and either put those on salads, or you could marinate some salmon in there and double up on your omega-3s with that salmon, that fatty fish, which is also recommended. And so there are many ways to incorporate all of these brain healthy foods while you're trying to snack for midterms week. If there are no questions from the audience, it looks like we're good to go. Thank you so much for joining us today on Snack Attack, and good luck on all your midterms.